Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning. Welcome to Saturday. It's Andy Brownell along with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results. A little bit of difference in the weather this Saturday, Robin.
Yeah, maybe we could rewind back to last Saturday or the Saturday before when it was much nicer. But after all, Andy, it's November.
It is, and tonight's the night we fall back.
Oh, true.
Gain an hour of sleep.
Yeah, we are within 3 weeks of Thanksgiving. That is crazy. That is crazy to me. Oh, anyway.
This is the time that I always remember to check the batteries in the smoke
yes,
detectors
good for you.
and the CO detectors.
And maybe it's because I send you an email, because I send out emails to a lot of people saying, turn back your clocks, check your batteries, all of those things. It's important to do, because next thing you know, we're going to look outside and we're going to have snow on the ground, and we're going to be, where did this winter weather come from? I don't know about you, but well, go ahead.
Well, it's funny with the clocks, because when I was younger, it was always quite the task to go through the house and manually turn all.
Yeah, I know.
And now they're
just do themselves, yeah.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah, I know, it is crazy. So I was thinking, it used to always be before Halloween. And so this year with the kids trick-or-treating, it was later. I was out showing houses and they were out walking around in the daylight. It was kind of cute, because it got dark a little bit later. So that was kind of nice. And it was such nice weather. So I thought, well, I also have seen a lot of people, I bet you have too, putting up their outdoor Christmas lights this past week, because they're like, we know this isn't going to last, so we're going to take advantage of it.
My next door neighbor, I was razzing him about it. But
hey, it's not silly.
That warm weather, Halloween, I don't know about you. I shouldn't even say this because it might encourage people. We had about 200 trick-or-treats.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. No, I live in a secluded little, cul-de-sac where nobody comes, so we didn't have any. But I was working anyway. It didn't matter. I got to see more this year than ever because of the fact that I was out showing houses.
Oh, sure.
And again, I didn't just see coats and snowmobile suits. I saw cute little costumes, right?
So the days go on.
Talk about real estate?
I suppose. You said you were showing houses, so obviously you're still selling houses.
Oh, you know what? I have been busy. I had a couple more listing appointments this weekend. I've got a couple new listings that just came on the market or just coming on the market. So, yeah, it's been good. And, there is some good news for home buyers, and that is that there is more inventory, which makes more homes to choose from. And the bidding wars have definitely eased. I'm not going to tell you we don't see them ever, because we still do, but definitely not as common. And what that means is the buyer, because there's more inventory, there is more negotiating power. So it's honestly still a really good time to be a buyer, even if the interest rates have hiked up a little bit.
You would enjoy this. It was on one of the national networks, and they were doing a piece about the real estate market. And it was I was in New York, and it was contrasting where it was a year ago to where it is today. And of course, it was almost all doom and gloom. But at the end, they were talking with their quote-unquote expert, and he said exactly what you've been saying for the past couple months. Not as cleanly as you say it when you say you don't marry your interest rate or you don't marry your mortgage, but explaining exactly what you have said. That look at this, these are opportunities out here, and these interest rates where they are now are not going to stay where they are. They're going to go up and they're going to go down. They're going to go up and they're going to go down. And if you have a higher interest rate today, you're going to have an opportunity
to lock in at a lower one.
Rate.
Yes. And because we've seen it and we've lived through it, it's so easy for us to grasp. But I have had some young buyers that say, I don't know, maybe I'm better off renting because the rates are so high. I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. Because how much are you paying each month for rent? your house payment is going to be slightly higher, but the difference is you're going to have a tax break for the interest you're paying on your mortgage, for one thing. For a second thing, you're going to have the glory of owning the home and building equity and building wealth. And complete control over what you plant in your garden and, all of those things. And if you want to paint the house or change the carpet, there's just so many benefits to owning the property rather than renting it. And all the work that it takes to maintain a home, my gosh, it's more work than I'm willing to do for someone else's property. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. That is a deal, isn't it, too? If you rent a home, an actual house,
yeah,
a lot of times you end up shoveling the walk.
Yes, exactly. And I've heard people, actually I talked to a renter this week who said, yeah, we changed out all the toilets in our rental house because we didn't like the ones that were there, and we put in new lighting because we thought it looked better. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope you're getting credited from the seller. And he said, yeah, he's really good. He lets us deduct it from the rent. I said, well, that's great. That is really great, but you're improving the house. You're doing the work, which makes them dream renters, of course. So,
yeah, but you were saying slightly higher. I've talked to several people who were paying some pretty high rents.
Oh, yeah.
Moved into home ownership, and their mortgage, insurance, and taxes ended up actually being lower per month.
Yeah, that's what we had all summer. But with the rates going up, they might be slightly higher. They might be. But I'm talking $100 more. I'm not talking now all of a sudden it's going to cost you $1,000 more. I'm just saying that with the rates where they are, you could pay a little bit more a month, but it's still going to be beneficial to own because you own it. You're building your wealth. I think I have this cool map. All across the United States, this is just looking at the change in equity. Say you bought your house in 1991, which, Andy, did you build your house in 1991?
It was 1991.
So if it was in Washington, you would have increased in value by 481%.
Wow.
If it was in Idaho, you would have increased in value by 538%. Montana, 571%. Colorado, 596%. Arizona, 563%. Utah, 621%. Do you guys get the message? Home values are going up. Now, Minnesota, it's a little more conservative, but it has still gone up by 298%. So it's worth 3 times on average, so very well could be 3.5 or 4 times what you built that home for. And that, my friend, was a very good investment. So kudos.
And I would say those numbers are fairly accurate from what I have been told that my house is worth today. Maybe
perfect.
Maybe a little bit more, but not that much more.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the thing is, what has it been? It's been the bank account that you have lived in. So it has provided you shelter and increased your wealth because of all the equity that you have built. So I'm super happy for people that are doing that. And sure, this is from 1991, so it may not sound that impressive, but a lot of that gain has happened in the last few years because we've really jumped up. So there are people out there who are sitting in as good a position who've owned their house for a lot less time, to be very honest with you.
We made some really good gains in the 90s during the building and housing boom in the 90s.
Yes.
And then it still went up every year, but the rate wasn't anywhere near as high as it was then. And then, as you said, the last few years, it's been insane.
Yep. And a good insane, a really good insane.
If you're on this end of it, yes.
Yes, absolutely. And so, but even if you're going to buy, like, let's say you do have to buy. Let's say you are going to sell that house now and downsize or move out of Rochester or just whatever. You now have all that equity to work with. So even though you're paying a little higher in interest, you've got that equity to buy down your mortgage. And who knows, maybe you even have made so much money on the house you're not even going to have to borrow money. Maybe you've got enough to pay for the next place. And the interest rate doesn't matter.
I know somebody that just happened to. That they were able to sell their home and move. They downsized into a townhome, and it was a cash
Nice. Yes.
Because they had enough equity in the home
because they built enough equity. And that is how we do it. I mean, that is how real estate helps us retire, right? That's how real estate becomes our our income and basically our wealth.
It's part of your net worth. That's what it is.
It's part of your net worth. Usually the biggest part of your net worth, to be honest.
We have to take a break already, Robin. We'll come back in just a moment. Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group-RE Results on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Thanksgiving will be here soon, and I can't...
Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group-RE Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group-RE Results with us on Saturday morning, of course. And we mentioned interest rates, so I might as well ask you, Robin, what's going on with interest rates?
Well, I mean, I think they're sitting at about 7%, which is the highest they've been in a while. And according to what I've been reading, I just read an article in Fortune magazine. It was titled, "The Fed's Housing Market Reset Isn't Letting Up Anytime Soon." So it was written by the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, so I think we can take this pretty seriously, right? And they're saying we have a ways to go. We have ground to cover with interest rates before we get to the level of interest rates that is sufficiently restrictive. We will stay the course until the job is done. Powell told responders after unveiling the Fed's fourth consecutive 3/4 point hike. And it's not exactly what builders or mortgage brokers were hoping to hear, and to be honest, not even realtors, and certainly not buyers, but it is, they're on a mission to accomplish something, and as soon as they can kind of battle through this recession and things can calm down, I promise you, we will see those rates go back down. So yes, I mean, are we done going up now? And I don't want the rates to go up again and have somebody call me and say, but you said they're going to come down. Because I'm not saying when they're going to come down, but I'm telling you that in the near future, we will see things coming back down.
And
everything I read says that.
Well, it's also inevitable.
It is inevitable. What goes up must come down.
The economy moves in cycles, and now we're moving through a different cycle. And some would say that the cycle is long overdue, that this had been brewing for quite some time. But also, I wonder if this will get into people's minds who are sitting on the sidelines renting at this point, that...
Right.
How long are you going to wait? You might as well investigate this and look into the idea, as you were talking about. Buy the house that fits your budget and don't worry about the interest rates.
Right. Look at focus on your monthly payment, because that's what you do when you rent. When you're going out shopping for a rental, you're saying, okay, I can comfortably afford $1,200 a month, or I can comfortably afford $2,000 a month, or whatever that price is. And so we just back the numbers out and say, if this is what you want to spend per month, then this is how much you can afford to spend on a house. And clearly that number is going to be less now than it was earlier this summer. But you're still going to be gaining equity. You're still going to be building wealth, and you're still going to be way ahead than if you choose to rent.
And also, just last week you mentioned some of the listings you had. We're seeing more and more of these listings that are in that price range.
Yes.
Where people were not able to find homes in those price ranges 6 to 8 months ago. They
exactly
extraordinarily rare.
And I mean, I think I talked to you about that. You keep hearing, the number of sales, the number of home sales is dropped. I read one article that said home sales plunged 31% from a year ago. Well, yes, if you're looking at the entire nation, because the East Coast and the West Coast have been especially hit hard. And we've talked about that numerous times. It's because of how fast those prices went up. It just absolutely had to come to a stop. It couldn't keep happening. I mean, I'm quite thrilled about it, because one of my goals is to own a home in Arizona. And the way they kept going up, I thought, that's never going to happen.
Right.
But now it's just seeming, definitely more realistic.
as the Fed chair said, it's a reset.
It's a reset. That's exactly right.
And for some of those markets which were completely out of control, they needed a reset.
Absolutely. And our numbers are not that harsh. I think I talked about it last week, and I think in the Rochester market we were down 10% year over year. And I think I looked at my team's numbers, and we were down like 3-point-something% year over year.
Wow.
So it's just not quite as drastic and gloom and doom as the headlines make it sound. So it's really key to be talking to somebody who knows what's going on in your local market and not necessarily just nationwide, because it's not a fair way to evaluate it.
And I always want to go back to 2019 and compare the numbers to that year, because I think you just throw out the pandemic years because they just were wild.
Okay, so let me tell you something. The pandemic years were wild. And so 2020, I thought, oh my gosh, I am never going to have a better year than this. This is the best year I have ever seen. Then 2021 came and blew it away. Well, of course, everything screamed that's not going to happen this year. You're not going to have the same years you had in 2021. But guess what? I looked at the numbers, and definitely not the same year I had in 2021. Definitely the numbers are down. But they are ahead of where I was in 2020, which I thought was the best year I would ever have. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's really, some people just really like to focus on the negative, and they like to make it seem like it's so bad, and they're just trying to create all this, people being afraid and saying, oh my God, I'm better off renting. And it just makes me sick, because I think you young kids who are just writing out checks for $2,400 a month with absolutely nothing to show for it are clearly not making the better decision, I promise you. So I really encourage people, when you're listening to this, to reach out to me, reach out to a lender that you trust, reach out to a realtor that you have a good relationship with, but just really get educated on what the truth is and what the facts are, because it is still a great time to buy real estate. If you talk to people who have money and people who invest, I'm going to tell you where they're investing their money right now.
Well, sure. I know where they are.
Real estate. Yes. It's where they've been investing their money, because it is the safest and most sound investment a person can make. So definitely a good time to buy real estate.
And the number you just threw out, that there are plenty of people in this community who are paying that $2,000 and more per month.
Absolutely.
In rent, and just from my daughter's experience, you can get a pretty nice house.
And now she's living in a beautiful house, a short walk from Lake Superior, and paying the same or less than she was paying rent. So there you go. Point well made, Andy. Thank you for that.
And I'm going to take a break before I make a mistake.
While you're on top? Okay. Sounds good.
We'll be back in a moment with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE Results, News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Save big money in your home with 11% off everything at the...
Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group-RE Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We are back. I'm Andy Brownell, Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE Results, and I mentioned you had listings last week. Robin, do you have any new ones this week?
I do have a couple of new ones. I've got a little one out in Hayfield that is in a price range that's going to appeal to a lot of people. It's $189,900. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage. It's an old farmhouse built in 1896. It's a 1.5 story. It has a total of 1,800 square feet. And it is 2nd Street Northeast in Plainview. Oh, excuse me. It's 2nd Avenue, 201 1st Street Northeast in Hayfield.
In Hayfield, okay.
In Hayfield, yeah. So there you go. Well below $200,000.
Yeah, we haven't seen one that's been below $200K in a while.
Yeah, exactly. So this is one of the good things that comes out of this reset. I've got a nice big family home up in Century High School neighborhood. The address is 1911 Northern Viola Lane, Northeast. and it's a 2-story. It has a total of 3,510 square feet. It's a big house. It's got 5 beds, 4 baths, and a 3-car garage. And it's one of those houses that backs up to a city park. So your lawn looks like it goes forever and ever and ever, but you only maintain a small portion of it. So it's the best of both worlds.
Fantastic.
Right now there's a ton of that one is $539.9, by the way. Right now there's a ton of leaves in the yard, but they're coming from the trees in the park, and the homeowner said, well, if I wait for the city to rake them up, to be very honest, I'm going to be waiting a while. So there's pros and cons to having that big park in the backyard. I think that according to them, it's mostly positive. Yeah. And then I have one over on 1201 19th Avenue Northeast. And that one was built in 1983. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath ranch, so 1-level house, 2,642 square feet. And that one is $414,900.
You don't see many ranches with that many bedrooms on the.
I know, yeah, it's a big, yeah. I mean, those were typically, custom built at that time, because the people, and it looks, if you look at the picture, it's got more of the low, sprawling ceiling, roof line.
Yep.
So it looks more like something that you would have found in California. So it was probably somebody who came to Rochester I'm guessing, because it's northeast, those were typically people who migrated here for IBM at that time and had a lot of custom designed homes up in that neighborhood. That's one of the things I love about Northeast is there's very few kind of cookie cutter neighborhoods up there, because a lot of the houses were custom built and custom designed, and so lots of different house styles, which makes for some interesting neighborhoods.
Oh, it's a beautiful part of the city. Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. So that's what I have going on. We do have a couple of open houses today at some of our listings. We've got a nice listing in Hart Farms it's on Phoenix Road, and I've talked about it in the past. It's a really beautiful 2-story that's barely been lived in, but the family has to relocate for work, and my dear husband's going to be doing an open house there today. I thought it was time to put him to work. So he'll be there from 11 o'clock until 12:30. And then we've got that nice one out on Ridgecrest with a couple of acres. And Tammy Gunn will be out there from 12 o'clock until 1:30. And I think, I think there's one other one, but I'm drawing a blank. But you can find them on our website, of course. And so if you're not familiar, that website is GwaltneyGroup.com. And that is, of course, our last name, GWaltneyGroup.com. And I'm always available on my phone, so if you have any questions about anything I talked about today or anything else that piques your interest regarding real estate, please do not hesitate to call me, and that number is 507-259-4926.
Okay, but before I let you go, I do have one more question for you.
Sure, absolutely.
Now that the market has shifted from mass insanity to a more normal market.
Yes.
And you're showing homes, are there any particular features that people are really looking for, I guess?
It's a good question, because people are back to being a lot more particular, and they want the house to be move-in ready. So, before, when you would say, is it worth changing the carpet, Robin, or is it worth painting? I may have said, oh gosh, no, that's not necessary. Whereas now I am going to say, you gotta win the beauty contest. So yes, It is definitely worth making it, because again, now we are competing with other houses, right?
People
more competition,
choices,
so more choices. So the better the house looks, the better you are. But again, always willing to stop by, walk through your home, answer any questions about which things you should do and which things you don't have to do, because sometimes there are things that I say, oh, well, this carpet may be old, but it's very clean and there's no stains, and somebody else might want to take it out and put a hardwood floor in, so I might recommend that you keep it. But if it's dirty and it looks tired and it looks worn out, I'd be, yeah, you know what, I think it makes sense to put in new carpet so it's fresh and clean and it's appealing, and if somebody wants to take it out to put wood floor in down the road, well, so be it.
Right, and maybe the colors. Used to be able to get away with all sort of crazy colors and nobody
correct.
cared.
Correct. And I have numbers for painters, for people who can come in and put in new carpets. So, I mean, I can be a resource from that aspect as well. So if there are things you want to do to get the house ready, not only can I give you the advice, what things, I can also put you in touch with people that can help you do those things.
All right. Well, let's throw that number out again in case somebody already lost it in the last minute or so.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that people have it memorized by now, but it's 507-259-4926, and I always welcome your phone calls.
All right, Robin, have a good weekend, and we will talk again next Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much.
Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group-RE Max Results. News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace.